Hello, welcome to It's a Journey with RJC Dance. I sat down with our guest, alumni Omari Swanston-Jeffers, who is an artist, educator and director of arts productions company Ol Man Swanny, specialising in dance, directing and literature. Omari holds a first-class BA Honours in creative writing and a Masters in education. As an educator, he served as a high school English teacher for 5 years. Omari's practice spans from screen to stage, from dance to song. I hope you enjoy. Omari Swanston-Jeffers, it's such a pleasure to have you here at RJC Dance at the Mandela Centre in Chapeltown, Leeds. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm always happy to be in this building. It's a special building, special place.
Your career, from where I see it, is going from strength to strength. What do you feel your driver is?
I think for me, it's an inherent will to tell stories. An inherent to tell our stories from the African diaspora, but particularly shaped by the Caribbean. And it's shaped by my growing up, my upbringing. My grandmother, my dad's mum, was the first person to really tell me Nancy stories when I used to stay with her and pester her when I wouldn't sleep at night. And I think it's, there's a history in family of my family being musicians from Nevis. All four of my grandparents are from Nevis, I'm proud to say. Being musicians and, performers in my family. I always think about, for us, where is the line between arts? So when my mum might be in the kitchen and she's singing away and she's crafting up an amazing meal, and then she goes to cleaning and she's dancing as she's cleaning. Where are the boundaries between those different art forms? It's not one or three separate ones, it's all one. And even with my dad, who's a DJ, for more communities, playing at weddings, funerals, and telling stories through music. It's just, it is me.
Okay, so you've talked about who brought you into the world. You're an alumni of RJC Dance Youth Provision.
Yep.
Tell us when that started.
So that started when I was 13. I joined RJC Shack Out Saturday. Still got the t-shirt.
And how did you find out about RJC Dance?
I've always known about it, actually. For me, I've been a part of the arts world, and I think Chapeltown is amazing, and it's a privilege to be here because I was in Carnival first when I was 4. My mum's mum used to make costumes. I was in New World Steel Orchestra from the age of 8. And so I knew of Shack Out. But I think there were boundaries or mental boundaries stopping me, like as a boy, you don't dance, or like to actually commit. It was always like, RJC, this amazing kind of big thing, which was over there, but I wasn't really ready. And my mum just signed me up. Yeah.
So you're a member of RJC Dance Youth Provision.
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey. What was that like?
So I started with Naomi Tuba, and I think it was a kind of a very thrown in at the deep end, because I think what makes RJC special, and something I try to carry on through my professionalism and even through my teaching, is the discipline.
Tell me more.
It's like, I remember just the first few sessions, it's like you're not on the banisters. Like if you're doing an exercise, you're not leaning on the banisters. You're ready to go in. And there's which I think could be seen and as a harshness, but there's a firmness from the teachers. And I don't think it's us. I think it's because it comes from a place of care, a firmness of be ready. So I think that, and I think as you build relationships, as you start to build relationships with the teachers, and as you grow old and you mature, you understand a bit in the time.
So you're talking about being firm but fair, and keeping everybody safe, really.
Yeah, but I think throughout my career, working with people like from Phoenix, Donald, working with
Donald Edwards.
Donald Edwards, David
Hamilton, MBE.
Yeah, working with those guys. Even in music, Leroy Johnson. I've said, I don't know. There's a style which you guys have of how you speak, how you inform, how you kind of instruct. And I'm like, and I feel it's also very Caribbean in itself.
So you're saying, is it a cultural thing? So the founder of the organization, Edward Lynch, MBE, created RJC Dance in
1993.
1993. Well, before that, 1992.
Okay.
But I think we were actually
established,
constituted.
Okay.
I think RJC Dance was constituted in 1993.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a culture within the organization, a way of being.
Yeah. And I think that it might come from the legacy of like Hair Hills Academy. It might come through that training, the community. Maybe it's the communities that you were in as young people, how you were taught. It's just something which even somebody like Khadija Ibrahim,
Doctor Khadija Ibrahim,
you know,
he was a founder of Lee's Young Authors.
Yeah, it definitely nurtured you. But I think because again, it's so similar to my family. It definitely, like, okay, I'm stepping into something familiar. And then it was just also just fun. It's just fun. Rarely to dance. It's so fun, and be in a space. I think what RJC does, it makes you feel comfortable, made me feel at home, made me feel like I was cared for. And I think another thing that it helps foster individuality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's absolutely heartwarming to hear your experience. And can you tell us about maybe some of the opportunities that came your way?
I think before that, one of the first things which really shaped is just the Napoli Clark covered a class. And I remember being I was 13 at the time, so really young, and seeing strong man come in. I'm like, okay, who's this guy? And I didn't know who he was. Who's this guy? And with that individuality, and it was probably the first few weeks of starting, he saw myself and like, oh, I like your style. It's you're like a drunken master.
That's right.
And a few people giggled and it's like, no. It's like this, you got your own way, just do your thing. And I think that imprinted so much on me. It's like, you're different, but it's good, it's positive, and really highlighting something unique inside me, which he still says today. A style I still build on and play with today. So that, and then other opportunities from RJC Dance.
Can I just go back to what you were talking about drawing out that individuality from you and giving you a sense of being, you know, and pride in yourself and proud to be who you were. That's what I heard when you were talking about how De Napoli Clark had identified what you had. And was the drunken master, was he some kind of out of some game or something?
So he's a character from Kung Fu character. So it's like an architect. So like Jackie Chan plays him in a few films, but it's like it's a style of Kung Fu. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were talking about other opportunities, experiences that you had along the way.
Yeah. I think the first, just performing, performing in Leeds, performing on different stages around Leeds, as in Checkout Saturday. And I think, well, as a young person, for me, any time to perform and be on a stage is important. I might look back on it now and say it was a small stage, even though I don't believe in small stages. But I think the discipline which we were taught, you go there, you prepare, you know your choreography, you stretch, you rehearse. So if it's a tiny stage or it's a massive stage, it doesn't matter because
you adapt. You
know, you're ready. And then the Christmas show, I think it's across the road. So it's in our community, it's home, but it's also a big stage. And the community, your family's coming to see you. Parents of your friends are coming to see you, and it's almost like what do they call it in New York? I think it's in Harlem, the Iconic Theatre. You're there to perform.
Oh, it's an iconic theatre.
Yeah.
It's the Apollo.
Yeah, yeah.
Woohoo! Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. The Apollo.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's part of your passage, your rite of passage to go through the Apollo.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I would say it's almost like the Christmas show. It's almost like the Apollo, a kind of version, because it's not, you're not going to get heckled, but it is, you're up there, you're really pushing everything that you've learned in front of people who care for you. And you probably make lots of mistakes, but you go back again the next year and you go back again. And so I think that Christmas show, it's like reset, come back again, reset, come back again, reset. And for me, there's a growth, there's a familiarity, and because it's around Christmas time, there's an excitement, it's warm, it's...
How many showcases did you do?
I think 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Yeah. I probably think it might be more like 4, probably 4 showcases that you did there. And there were always 2 sold out audiences, always. So it always made it very special indeed. And obviously memorable.
Yeah, definitely.
So as well as performances, I'm aware you were part of residentials and exchanges, even international exchanges. Can you tell me more about that?
So I mean, there's so many things. Like we went to Center Parks, and I was 16 then, and I think that's when, for me, we were all the squad, RJC, all in our orange hoodies. They'd actually recently been introduced to us then, and for my first time, it was like, it felt like being a celebrity for the first time, because we were the dancers, and it's lots of teenagers, for unfortunately teenagers who had cancer.
It was a conference, wasn't it? So at the conference there were doctors, there were patients, the young people were patients, and we were part of their health and well-being, and dance and exercise.
And so it was also a humbling experience, because you're like, oh, actually, here's some people who actually were terminal as teenagers, some people who were going through chemotherapy. So you had this being a performer, and realizing that you were kind of there to entertain and really help bring up the momentum and the feelings of some of these young people, but then also understanding the benefits of what that was like. So there was that.
And I guess it was an opportunity to build awareness around cancer and teenage cancer as well, and also to make friends. Because there were young people from all over the British Isles, and it was a whole weekend, wasn't it?
So that was a brilliant opportunity, and performing up and down the country and the different opportunities. Then I did the youth exchange, which was amazing.
Which one was that?
So I did 2 of the 4.
Oh wow!
I did Sweden. We went to Luxembourg. We went to Stockholm. That was the first one. And then I was 17 at the time. Not long turned 17, and I think that was a stepping out. And really helping me find myself.
Was that the first time out of the country?
Not out of the country.
In Europe?
Probably not in Europe, but to that part of Europe, definitely. And definitely with a team of young people. And I think what I would say for stepping out for me is, I mean, I personally enjoyed high school because I love education, but I socially found it a difficult time. I'm not ashamed to say that at points I experienced bullying, and that knocked my confidence. And so I went into this space where I'm surrounded by other young people, and it was nobody knew me in the way of high school. And so I had a bit of a fresh slate, and all those things which were inside me, which were nurtured by RJC, were able just to come out. And I was able to make friends, and I was able to you know, I didn't, at some points I didn't feel that confident in myself. But I was like, oh, actually, you know, I do have these skills when I'm dancing and I'm making friends and I'm getting along with people and people are treating me like how they treated me in high school. So I think that was a really kind of again a resetting moment for myself. I'm like, okay, actually, you know what? I'm all right. You know.
What was the learning from that experience for you? So, you know, you've traveled by plane, you're making new friends.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're picking up some languages here
Yeah.
now, so a bit of French,
Yeah.
a bit of Swedish.
Yeah, I think there were also specific workshops. So I remember in Sweden was like trained in breakdancing for the first time. So I'd done it and played about with it, but trained and practiced it for the first time. Did a house class for the first time, which like I remember from those like, okay, I'm gonna practice breaking and house. I found breaking was too body breaking. But I sticked with house, and house is a style which is one of my styles now. So there was literally the learning of the dance styles and workshops.
So with the exchanges, there was a program of work.
Yeah.
And each day
Yeah.
you did X amount of activities,
Yeah.
which varied from dance. What I'd also like to add is that as a youth provision, we were the only dancers. And the other young people were from youth clubs, weren't they?
Yeah. And I think that again, so you come in as like the squad, and I kind of understand it now. It's in some ways I might make the film about it, the RJC film, because you come in and like you're a young group of young people who are choreographed. So like you move together and you do these cool dances together. And so from an outside eye, it's like, oh, who are these cool guys who just can just dance on the spot? But for us, it's like, this is what we're doing, you know. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, go into the choreo. This is the song. It was just normal for us.
So it sounds like there was a pride.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something which is very much instilled in us, the discipline. You know, the hoodies. You're representing RJC. You're representing Chapeltown. You're representing the Mandela Center. Your family. So, you know, we're gonna have fun, but still, we're here. We can't act up. You know what I mean? And I think there was also learning about for us culturally. Not everybody was African Caribbean heritage or of a diaspora, but actually, how are we in a different city? How are we in Europe? How are we perceived? And I think leaning on that, coming together and being a team, but also wanting to make our ethnicity who we are proud. Yeah.
So you were, as you said earlier, representing.
Yeah.
You had a role and you had a responsibility whilst you were there.
Yeah.
As well as having fun.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of fun.
So really want to talk about accessibility for children and young people to the arts.
Yeah, I think so. Through RJC, I've seen so many brilliant things, theatre shows, residentials. A key one was seeing Alvin Ailey. But I think what's important is that it was made accessible through either it being free, like the residentials, or at a very low cost, you know. So if a ticket might be £20, we might be paying £5. You know what? I mean, if somebody couldn't pay that £5, you know, you didn't have to worry about it. When we went on the residentials, part of the cost was covered, but we had to fundraise, and I think that was actually really good because it's motivating you to get that cost, but the majority of it was covered. And I think what's interesting, as I found being an adult in the professional spaces and mingling with people from different backgrounds, I've made friends with people who went to private school environments, and they told me how through their private school they went here and they went here and they went here and they went here and they went here, and like their parents paying how much a year a term. I'm like, wait, that's kind of like what I did. I wasn't barred from seeing stuff through RJC. So that's really important.
One of the projects you were involved in was the Stanza Stones project with poet, playwright, and novelist Simon Armitage. Tell me about that experience.
I think, but again, so many milestone setting experiences. That was at a time where I think RGC really helped me form what I want to do in my career. And I remember before about 15, I was like, I want to tell stories. I remember I was doing media studies and I was over break and I'm working on this stop motion animation and I'm enjoying it by myself. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to tell stories. But later, loving writing, I performed my first poem at the showcase, which is a poem I'm really proud of still to this day, about who I am and my own path. And again, that how it was received, it's like, oh, this is something strong which I'm doing. And then the opportunity to do that Stanza Stones residential and go away and be a writer. And like, I love this. I enjoy what I'm doing. I feel free. I feel like I'm expressing myself. And then to be with other poets, established poets who are looking at your work and encouraging it, giving you positive criticism and feedback. Like, this is what I want to do. It was like, this is what I want to do. I love how I feel when I'm writing, and I love the response, and I love what I'm able to do with my words. And I think it just really helped, like, that what I have is a gift, and most of the people around me really affirmed that for me. So yeah, it really, and it's like, okay, I wanted to do creative writing at uni before then, but I was like, oh, do I want to do that? After that, I was like, yep, 100%. That's what I'm going to do.
So what you're actually saying is that RJC Dance provided you with a platform. It also opened your heart and mind to what was possible. You took on the opportunities that were provided by RJC Dance, and it's become your career.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's so many things which I picked up at the time, those levels of discipline. Like, I think one thing the Napoli taught us is, if Napoli is working with a group of young people over there in choreography and you're there, you're not sitting about, you're doing it.
To make me laugh.
You know, you're stretching, you're running the choreo. You're not sitting about, and it's those small things, you know, which you take forward, which you don't really pick up, but it's how you interact in the world
as well.
You know what I mean? It's how you go into, so when I'm later at uni, how you go into uni, how you conduct yourself in your assignments, in what you're doing. It's not things that you're aware of, but I think those small things.
So you're giving 100% all of the time and working to the best of your ability. Just whilst we're here and just linking your writing, I know earlier this year, I think it was, you applied for the Channel 4 New Writer Scheme.
So I applied for the Channel 4 New Writer Scheme, and that was a challenging ordeal or experience, not in a negative way, but as in I had to step up. Fortunately, I got a lot of support from my close friend Jamal Gerard, who was on it before, and he went through the experience of writing, applying. And so I asked him lots of questions. How was his experience? And I think what I've experienced in my career is in a lot of high professional circles. You might have somebody who's from a middle class background who knows somebody in the industry and they got in. So what would I do? I would use who I know and what we have and use the people in our community and work with them. So I had to submit 8 pages of a script of a screenplay for a TV pilot. And funnily enough, I've had
your own work.
Yeah, my own work, an original idea. And funnily enough, I've had this idea for, at this point, 6 years as an idea. And I think I say that because to highlight what you might see on stage, you know, when it's inception, takes a long time for fruition. But because I've had this idea and I've worked on it at different stages, I've got a big notebook where I write my ideas down. When it came to doing this application, the idea was very much fully formed in my mind. And I said to myself, well, if I'm going to do this application, I might as well make it worth my while. So because I might not get selected. So my goal was to write the 8 pages, but then write a complete pilot, because then I've got a complete pilot, you know.
Taking the opportunity.
Yeah, so I use it as a prompt to kind of, and funny enough, I did that, and then I wrote the 8 pages, and then my laptop was playing up. And then I had the opportunity to go to Nevis to celebrate my grandmother's 90th. Amazing opportunity. So I put it in my back burner, and then I got longlisted for an online interview.
Out of how many applicants?
Over 2,200 people applied throughout the whole of the country. So it's in regional hubs: Leeds, Edinburgh, Northern Ireland, and Bristol. So over 2,200 people applied. I got longlisted for an interview. Remember, had talked through that with Jamal, did a bit of interview prep, did the interview. I felt very confident because I prepped and I knew what I wanted to say. So I felt very confident with the interview. Then got selected onto the scheme. So I'm part of the scheme now. And then I was like, well, you know what? Because I'm going to be working with this organization who are great and I respect, but they're not necessarily us and me. I want to make sure that my voice is formed, because over 9 months I'll be working on this script and creating a fully fledged pilot. And so I was like, I want to make sure that my voice is formed, and then I can bring it and I can be really open to adapting it and working on it. So I completed the script, first draft, for myself, and shared it with some people in the community, friends. And now, as I go into the scheme, I'll be able to carry on working on that.
So have you started the scheme?
Yeah.
And so far?
It's amazing. I'm really enjoying it. It's really amazing. It's really amazing.
And over how long a period will you be?
So it'll be over 9 months. So around June time, I'll be finishing. And then there's like a bit of a mentorship, which lasts a bit for a few months after that. Yeah.
So almost a year in total.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd just like to say congratulations as well, because it's no mean feat.
Yeah, thank you.
So, well done. So, again, linking your the writing has maybe taken over your dance performance, but I know you bring them and fuse them together. I'm aware that you're involved in the sound system, music and poetry of the Black Atlantic, the Brazil UK exchange. Tell me about that, please.
So I was invited to apply to be one of 3 established emerging poets to go over to Rio de Janeiro to take part in this FLUP, which is a literature festival over there. And I had to submit, I had to write an expression of interest, answering a set amount of questions, and then show some of my poetry work. And through that, I was selected. And so I'll be going to Brazil, to Rio, relatively soon. I've never been to Rio, never been to Latin America.
Fantastic, and congratulations once again.
And I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited. And
how long will you be there?
It's short. It's 5 days, but it's a great experience.
Absolutely, what an opportunity.
Yeah. And I think as I talk about it, I feel like, you know, it's circular. It's like circular, and you expand. Circular, you expand. It's some of the other experiences I've done before. You know, they feed into how I'll go over there. You know, I'm there to work as a poet, you know, but I'm there to have a great time and to balance those things. So I'm really grateful and excited for that.
And here at RJC Dance, we're so very proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm just wondering what message you can send to young people, especially thinking about when you entered the youth provision at 13 and your vision or your ambitions then, because they've changed slightly.
Yeah, definitely.
Paths have been put in your way, opportunities.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing to shape like dance is key instrumental. So like with my work, I often work in a theatre space. I use dance as almost a second language to illustrate what can't be shown. But one thing I think I would say to young people is whether it's dance, whether it's creativity, first know that you're special. You are super, super special. And like, I think you're special and you're no better than anybody and nobody's better than you. I would say just do your thing. Do your thing. Know that you're amazing. Know that you got style. Know that you got a culture. I feel like Naps know now, but like know that you are, and you don't need to be anything else or anybody else. Who you are is enough.
Then how do you continue bringing yourself?
Yeah, I think
what keeps you going? What feeds you?
I think it goes back to that spirit, the thing at the start, something inherently. I'm to tell stories. That's what, and for me, as an artist, like if I wake up and I'm not dancing or singing or in the kitchen, I'm taking acting classes now, so running my lines as I'm doing my breakfast, what am I doing?
So you're also taking
yes.
So all the time you are honing your art.
Yeah, and for me, it's just because it's almost an extension of breath. But like if it's you're a doctor, if it's you're into maths, if you're into whatever, if it's that thing which drives you. But on that, there's setbacks, many setbacks. I recently went for a position called the Associate Artistic Director of Leeds Playhouse. And that was a long process, over a month. Over 160 something people applied. I got longlisted, shortlisted to the final 4 of interview, and I wasn't selected. And that's difficult. And I want to share that that it's not all up. It's ups and downs. When I did my last project, and I went for funding, I got rejected the first time or not accepted. I had to go the second time, and we got the funding the second time.
So tell me, how do you manage setbacks? How do you manage disappointments?
Yeah, and I think how that is, I think I'm blessed to be here in Chapeltown. I'm here to have a strong network of friends. I'm blessed to have my family, my parents, both parents, and I think here sometimes I'm, even actually just walking past at RJC, seeing people dancing. Okay, it's like when I walk through Chapeltown, you see somebody, you see an aunt, you see an uncle. You're all right, hi. Tell your mum hi. Those little things, you feel part of something.
Just that ownership.
Yeah,
belonging.
Yeah, and when it's difficult, I speak to my friends. I'm great. I've got a small collection of male friends, so we'll talk about stuff. We'll talk about stuff which is difficult when we're sad. I'll speak to my dad. He's almost like my counselor, so I'm really grateful to have him.
You talk about a therapeutic counselor.
Yeah. So we'll talk about things. We might strategize. This is how I'm going to go for the interview.
And what about young people, young adults who don't have that network?
I think I would always say play the cards that you have. I think we might definitely feel that we're from this background, we have these things against us, things are difficult, and that's not to say that things that are not difficult for many people. We all have cards, and you might feel that you have a hand of jokers, but in some way a joker can be a valuable card. And I think it's looking at what you have and then using that.
What do you feel has been important for you and your development?
I think one thing is see myself as never too big to learn. I'm always on a career of learning, I could be, in some ways, I could say, oh well, I'm this, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I've done that, and then I could be in a space where maybe, like in the Channel 4 setting, I'm working with, well, people who are on TV and who have worked with famous actors, and then I could maybe feel like, oh well, I've done nothing. And I don't feel either of those. I'm always proud of what I've done, but always on the journey of learning. And with that, never afraid to ask questions, never afraid to be in a place where actually I'm not the expert here, and I don't know much, and I'm willing to learn. And whether that can be anybody, because even time teaching, there's so much I learned from young people. There's so much just teaching them, but there's things which they would have known, youth culture, being an old man, and there was things they would have known which I didn't know, and things I learned from them. And so, you know, there's, like, as a dancer, I might go step into a basic hip hop class. And I've been dancing hip hop for over 13 years, but there's still something I can learn from that.
So you're talking about lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And you're never too old or you're never too young to learn.
Yeah.
And to continue developing yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you talk about your most influential and most significant experience or people that have shaped your career?
So one of the most influential significant person who shaped my career is my granddad. He passed 2019, so quite a long time ago. But for me, he was just, I look back, just a magical figure, a very warm, loving Caribbean man, very jovial from my standpoint, someone who could always make you laugh, somebody who I could always give a hug, somebody who, when it was fall, would give me a little sip of his beer when my nana wasn't looking. And funny enough, as I step into my adulthood, I realized he wasn't always like that. When he was a younger man, he was quite angry or quite fiery. And it took him time to settle into that. But I think why my granddad, and that's why I formed Ol Man Swanny, is him. I think he speaks to what so many did. Both my grandmothers are super strong women, as well. But coming from the Caribbean, as bright-eyed young people, coming to this land of honey, which they believed, and it's cold, and not giving up. We're gonna make something for ourselves. And they faced so many setbacks. We faced so many setbacks.
So what you're also saying is that intergenerational connectivity, those stories, that history, that culture, has also helped to form your career and your learning.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think if so many of those of the Windrush generation came from a small island with not a lot of money, and they were able to come over here, and a lot of them, through things like partner hand, buy houses, raise families, they can do that from that. Well, what can I do from being in
the resources
this,
that you have?
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
So I'm looking to do, which I'm going to be, once I get back from Rio, I'm going to be starting going into planning for a longer term project for my arts company, which takes the work, which I'm doing, the Channel 4 idea.
Your arts company?
Yeah,
which is?
That's Ol Man Swanny.
Yes, okay.
And so I want to, a 2.5 year project with that. But I'm also starting to use the opportunity in Brazil to build international connections. So bring work internationally, and be in a place where my organization, Ol Man Swanny, has a few more productions under their belt, and have a few more productions in London as well, in other cities. Just expand my horizon and where I am, but always never forgetting where I'm from. Here is home. You know what I mean? Here is home. So that's where I see myself.
Omari Swanston-Jeffers, thank you so much for speaking to us here at RJC Dance.
Thank you for the time.